What is up, guys? Mcdoubles back here with a brand new video. Today, y'all voted on the Starcaller to be shown, so that is exactly what I'm going to be able to do. I'm going to go to level 50 in this video, the max level for the closed alpha on Conquest of Azeroth right now. Check out every spec of the Starcaller, give my take, so I hope you guys enjoy. Let's jump right in. Alright guys, so I'm not typically big on the female characters, but today we're going to be playing a class that you guys voted for that absolutely begs for it, and that is the Starcaller with a female Night Elf. The Starcaller, and we played this like a year and a half ago, this is the iconic Moon Warrior, the iconic Tyrande Whisperwind, my friends. Every version of her that you've ever seen in Heroes of the Storm or something like that, the Warcraft 3 hero version of her, this is something that we're trying to capture, I could assume, with the Starcaller. And you know what? We have the brand new talent tree with it now, so this is what they say. It's so many things, apparently, which is kind of concerning, but we'll see. Melee damage dealer, range damage dealer, a caster, a tank, and a healer. I don't know how they're going to finagle that. We'll figure it out. It uses mana, though. That's good. Combat style. Uses enchanted arrows, picking off enemies from afar, and providing healing to your allies. Wields melee weapons to enhance your lunar magic to defend your allies. Channel Moonwell healing. That's really cool, and that's very flavorful. Directing it at allies to restore their health over time, and may convert mana into enhanced power or defensive capabilities. It says at the bottom in the yellow. Starcallers are valiant plate-wearing fighters that worship Elune. Good, the moon goddess. Many Starcaller abilities scale on the total size of your mana pool. They can focus on melee combat to deal damage or tank enemies. They can use a bow to dish out effective damage, and they can also heal like a traditional Kaldorei huntress. Some Starcallers focus purely on the power of the moon wells, channeling the restorative power to cast powerful water-based healing spells. That's exciting. Okay, let's make this happen. I'm gonna call this like Baby Tyrande. You think that's a thing I can do? Nice. Typically people take the obvious names, but maybe the baby part's not so obvious. Alright, we're going in there. Suggestive clothing on this one, you know? Let's see if the Starcaller is actually fun. Alright guys, y'all already know what's going down. Heed my call. Today I need you to give me 500 likes only if you want to see more Conquest of Azeroth class showcase videos where we go over the classes, give our takes on them, showcase all the new changes with the brand new Dragonflight looking talents, and try to make them better if we can as well. 500 likes if you want to see more. Otherwise, we go back to League 4, and someday Chapter 3 comes out, probably towards the end of the month. There's more content there as well, but you know what you got to do. So anyway, enjoy the rest of the video. Alright guys, so we're starting off with Aspect of the Stars, Star Sunder, and Way of the Goddess. So we'll check all of those out in a moment. Alright, so here we are with Aspect of the Stars, the very first aspect we're going to see on this character. So this says, it gives my damaging spells and my melee and ranged attacks a 20% chance to call down an Astral Flare upon 3 enemies, causing 3 to 4 arcane damage. And I already like this right off the bat. That's what it looks like. The reason I like this, and by the way, look at the stars. That is so cool. But it's already capturing the Starfall concept. So here's what I'm looking for before we continue. I have played Warcraft 3, I've played Heroes of the Storm, and I've played Warcraft for 20 years. So I know what this is supposed to feel like. I'm supposed to be starfalling. I need the feeling of throwing the stars down. That's the first thing. When it comes to the Archer archetype, I need the feeling of like powerful star and moon-based enhanced arrows, okay? So I want to see stuff like that as well. When it comes to the melee, that's kind of a whole brand new amalgamation. Like, they're kind of making that up in some ways. So that's going to be cool to see how they make that work. But, okay, so we're starting off strong. Then we've got a melee ability, Star Sunder. This is a weird one, and I do remember this from the old days. It costs 35% of your max mana, which is more than a third, obviously. It strikes an enemy for only 75% weapon damage, plus some arcane damage, based on the mana consumed. It has a 40% chance to apply what they call a Scattered Star, increasing your arcane damage taken on the target, I would assume, by 1% up to 3%. Okay, we'll check that out. The last ability is a passive, Way of the Goddess. Increase your spell power by 20% of your attack power, so obviously a full-on hybrid. In addition, melee and ranged auto attacks regenerate 3% max mana. So if I'm spending big mana with Star Sunder, just playing my class and making auto attacks happen regenerates my mana. Now I will say, guys, I'm actually very happy you voted for the Starcaller, because out of all the ones I put up on there, I even got this one comment there like none of the above. Like, look, if I play all of them, I play all of them. I understand some are going to seem like more fun and interesting than others just by lieu of them. I'm hoping all of them, even the ones that don't don't appear as interesting are actually more fun than we all think. But the Starcaller in particular, I'm pretty confident that it won because just looking at it, it's like, oh, what the hell is that? Are they really going to be able to create Tyrande Whisperwind properly? It's like, I hope so, you know? So this is exciting. The more I play with the Dragonflight talent system, guys, the more I begin to realize that, yeah, the ability tree system they had before, it was genuinely way bigger of an inhibitor than I even realized, and I was very anti against it from basically the beginning, because it didn't even capture the proper feelings that you need to capture. When you can specialize, right, and I like the star falling there, that was super nice. When you can actually specialize in a talent tree and really go hard with your class, and your class is something incredibly unique and cool like Starcaller, I think that adds a lot. When you can really get in there with the nitty-gritty passives and stuff like that, that's incredibly enjoyable to me. Alright, so I'm casting Starfalls. They're actually AoE, by the way, super important. And one thing I've noticed so far is that even though this consumes mana, you don't have to have 35% mana to do it, right? Because it does damage based on the mana consumed. So obviously the more mana, the better. By the way, my mana regen at low levels is super fast, so you do not feel it. Maybe that gets reduced at some point. I know one thing I've definitely seen you guys talk about, one thing that you guys basically unanimously agreed on, basically, after my last video, it was that you want Koa to be a harder game, that you don't want it to be like classless Ascension, where the leveling experience is irrelevant, and you don't even necessarily want it to be the way it is right now, where, quite frankly, the leveling experience is irrelevant. And I saw another similar thing that you all agreed on, and I say all, but maybe you don't. Let me know in the comment section if you don't. By the way, Celestial Strike. Strike an enemy for 50% weapon damage, plus 3 to 4. It costs energy, not mana. I have an energy bar and a mana bar. Wow. Okay. But another thing I saw you guys agree on was not having satchels and just free gear all over the place all the time. And so this is this, by the way, Celestial Strike. Just another thing to do that doesn't cost mana. It's very weird to work with energy and mana, I will say that right off the bat, but we'll see how it functions out. But I'm right there with you guys, obviously, because I said it, but, like, I also just don't like the free gear. Like, I think the thing that's going to make Koa feel good, real, and worth it is if the journey is a real thing, right? I mean, Ascension's already kind of mastered the endgame content, and maybe sometimes they focus too much on the min-max element of it all. And what I think, though, is that 1 to 59 is World of Warcraft in many respects, just as much as level 60 is. It's not the other way around. Some people, they think 1 to 59 is pointless. They just want to rush to 60. Those people can still rush, but I think the journey should still be a default thing. And, you know, if everybody's getting blue gear and they never have to go to Dead Mines to get that one piece of gear that they're going to be using for 10 levels because they really, really want it and it's going to make a big difference, it takes everything away from a journey where you really just want to play these brand new classes and see how they make you feel in the new World of Warcraft, Conquest of Azeroth. So I'm glad that you guys agreed with that en masse, and we'll see. Let me know in the comment section below if you don't agree with that and you just missed that part of the video. But I'm right there with you. Less gear so that you actually have to earn it in the lower levels, right? And so not every BG is full of, like, max levels in the bracket that are one-shotting you with free blue satchel gear, and slower leveling experiences that encapsulate a proper World of Warcraft journey. And I think that would be super awesome and super enjoyable. Now, I'm really liking the way this plays so far. Now, again, it looks a little weird right off the bat with energy and mana, and I think that's going to be, again, just a really weird thing to try to figure out at the end of the day. But we will see what happens as we get more abilities, and if that actually becomes a lot more streamlined. There we go, by the way, brand new spell, Aspect of the Cosmos. Make my melee and ranged attacks slow the target by 10% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. I've seen them do this before with Tendon Slash on the Guardian, but this one regenerates 3% of your max mana. While active, Celestial Strike costs 4 less energy, so that's the energy-based one, and regenerates 10% of your missing mana. Okay, so that's a big deal, right? Plus 5% more mana if you're using a two-handed melee weapon. Okay, guys, so I'm currently level 6. I just got my first ranged ability, and I do feel like, based on the whole Tyrande, Priestess of Elune type of thing, Priestess of the Moon, that I like the most about this class, that I see myself pursuing the ranged version of it as the most enjoyable aspect of it for me. And as I'm looking at this first ability we get, Moon Arrow, you can see on the bottom right, fire an enchanted arrow from your bow, doing physical damage, regenerating 6% max mana, and it scales with ranged AP, spell power, and intellect. And that's one thing I've noticed, by the way, quite a lot. You know, like, naturally, Blizzard basically had everything scale off just AP, or it scaled off of spell power, and then by lieu of that, things would scale off intellect, or agility, or even strength, and then, you know, the main primary stats had secondary stats attached to them as well. Koa is doing everything differently, where they have, like, almost every spell scaling directly off a primary stat, for example, or scaling off your, resource bar or something. How that's going to actually end up working out, I don't know. Because here's another thing I actually think is very important to keep in mind. This is what the ability looks like, by the way, and I just want to say right off the bat before I continue, super satisfying arrow, very good animation. I don't know if it's just me, tell me if you disagree, but like, look at this real quick. Like, isn't that kind of like satisfying as hell to watch the little arrow fly to the guy? Because the typical arrow that you have is like a white straight line, it's so mid, But this one is actually nice. This is really, really enjoyable. Okay, there's the arrow. Okay, there's the arrow. And it actually hits really hard. So I'm liking this so far. And by the way, I do have auto shoot with this class as well. So this is a class that like you're right clicking something because you want to melee, but you can't. It just starts auto shooting. So please keep that in mind if you play it on hardcore or something and pull the wrong mob, later on. But yeah, one thing I really want to keep in mind when we ever someday get to the number stage of things and the power level stage of things is like, what is a fair power level to start off, right? So I know I'm arbitrarily going to say it, but that's what I tend to do. I think that in terms of like max level, I'm just, reaching level 60 for the first time, and, Molten Core is not even out yet. I don't really think people should be doing more than like 1500 DPS. And again, the numbers are pretty arbitrary at this point because like how is it going to feel has something to do with the way the mobs are balanced, not just the damage you're doing. It's like all in conjunction, and the balance of Ascension is not the same as the balance of OG Vanilla. So I'm just trying to give you guys a concept of the feel though. It needs to, in my opinion, to be slower. And that's like a big thing about what I was saying before too. It all just needs to be not painfully slow. You can rush to max if you want, but there's 21 classes, right? People are going to want to make alts. They're going to want to go through that a little bit faster than OG Vanilla. I'm going to want to do that a lot faster than OG Vanilla. So I'm not calling for OG Vanilla raids, ever. I'm only calling for a journey. I'm only calling to tame things, to make things feel like, oh, I started off weak. I did the hero's journey. I'm max level, but just because I'm max level doesn't mean I'm a god. I still have to get that gear. I still have to earn my way up, but we're only an MC, so I'm still not that strong. Oh, BWL comes out. AQ. Oh, now I'm getting really freaking strong. You know what I mean? I want that feeling, so I'm hoping that kind of happens when they work on numbers. That's something I'm really thinking about. Okay, so we are level 7, and we have the Moon Arrow, the Star Sunder, the Celestial Strike, the melee components, the range components. I'm assuming there's going to be a tanky and a healy thing that we end up getting at some point. And I did mention the aspect of the Cosmos, so this is an aspect, obviously. We have 2 aspects before level 10, very weird. And it seems to me, and this is something to think about real quick because I wasn't doing it just now. So your ranged attacks can slow people with aspect of the Cosmos, potentially broken. There is like some very specific two-handed melee weapon synergy with aspect of the Cosmos, and so the inherent implication there is that they want you to use the 2H spec with that aspect. Now, I don't know if that's always going to be true, because like I said, if you're just going to give people a free slow on their auto attacks, that's intensely powerful, and that's something to think about. However, it is a small slow, to be fair. Aspect of the Stars, though, calling down an Astral Flare on 3 enemies, that works on ranged attacks as well. And what I like about this is that this, and let's see if we can proc it. There we go. This is actually capturing the Priestess of Elune at like level 7. And that's why you know the design is good, by the way. Because when they can capture a class fantasy with 1 ability, like 2 abilities, really, the Aspect and the Moon Arrow, then you know that like it's only going to get better from here. You know what I mean? So I have to commend them for that. That's cool. Oh my god. Shooting Star? Yo, that's iconic and awesome as hell. Oh, this is cool. 30-second cooldown Hella Sprint. Increase your movement speed by 50% for 5 seconds. While active, you can't be slowed, but stopping moving will end the effect. Whoa. Your next melee attack, not ranged, ends this effect to deal bonus arcane damage and knock the target back based on distance traveled. What? That is so weird. That is such a weirdie, right? They're gonna run into this concept a lot. I've noticed this a lot, where when they have certain classes that are trying to do like 100 different things at once in terms of playstyle, rather than having it honed in, like this class, for some reason, it uses 10 different weapon styles, whereas your average class doesn't do that. You know what I mean? So when you have an ability that only works off melee, and then some guy really wants to play like a Moon Arrow range focus spec, I wonder how that's going to play out. This is still a super sprint, though. The cooldown is really, really low, dude. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so that's really badass. Let's not lie. That's pretty sick. But when the effect ends, I'm going to try this again in 30 seconds. If I melee attack somebody, it's going to apparently knock them back and hurt them a lot. Okay, let's see again. So boom, 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 boom. I'm going really far, and then I auto attack you. Oh, look, it knocked him back slightly. It's more of like a, oh, you're casting, now you're not. Oh, you tried to do something to me? Well, now you're kind of like pseudo-stunned. The damage was pretty big at this level, but who knows? That's pretty cool. And one thing to keep in mind about Moon Arrow that's obvious if you were actually paying attention, but obviously I'm kind of going fast, it's not instant cast. I know that's like obvious, like, but it's not instant cast. It's steady shot in many ways, but you don't feel it, and it feels really good you know, especially on the female Night Elf. I gotta say, like I said, I'm not big on playing the girl characters typically, but this feels really, really good and looks really, really good. Let's be real. Okay, so I do think Shooting Star is awesomely designed. It's very, very cool. It's potentially way too strong, but I'd have to see some duels and the rest of the kit. It's okay for classes, and I have to kill the Grells for the quest, so we're not doing this for no reason, but it's okay for classes to have, like, the one ability that's obviously way too good. You know what I mean? As long as it fits within the grand scope of the kit. And so that's what we're going to figure out as we level throughout this video. Like, is this ability too strong, or is it just what you would want for a class like this? All right, there we go, guys. Level 9. I really, really love this. I actually like this so much more than the melee so far. The last time I remember playing this class, I thought it was a cool concept. First of all, it was an overpowered class when I played it because, of course, numbers, whatever, right? But I do remember, like, you could go into a BG, and with this mana ability, Star Sunder, you could, like, one-shot people, and plus another ability that was mana-based. It was not one-shot. I think it was 2 or 3-shot, but it was, like, spam, 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 dead, you know? So I do remember that, and I do remember feeling like the mana playstyle was going to be a little confusing. But of course, it might have been completely reworked and streamlined now, so we'll figure that out. But one thing I don't remember tackling enough was the range version, like I said. So I'm personally so excited right now to shoot some moon arrows, dude, and see what else they come up with. Let's sprint over here, though, and turn in some quests. Very good animations and sounds on everything so far. All right, there we go, level 10. And by the way, we have our 3 specs. So we have Astral Warfare, Moonbow, which is not just a healer, it's also DPS. They just haven't shown it yet. And TIDES, which is also, I guess, that's the pure healer spec, is the implication there. So this is actually going to be kind of intense, right? Because Astral Warfare is going to be DPS and tank. Moonbow is going to be DPS and I guess maybe healer or maybe support. I don't know. And then TIDES, I'm assuming, is pure healer. Now, personally, like I said, let's start off with Moonbow. It uses intellect, apparently, or spirit. Maybe that's not entirely true. Maybe it's an Agi-based spec. So I did get some brand new abilities with this, by the way. So I got a res, Celestial Awakening. So that's a res. They all have unique reses. We showed all the old school unique reses in the old original videos. And then we have Huntress Shot, another cast time steady shot effect. It drains 20% mana. So this class is all about draining mana and regenning mana. And this is the first talent you apparently get for the Starcaller tree when you pick the Moonbow spec. So back down here, it says fire an enchanted arrow at an enemy doing arcane damage based on mana. So literally the Star Sunder version for ranged. It says usable while moving, has a 40% chance to apply Scattered Star, which is literally the same ability as Star Sunder, but you can use it while moving. Okay, so let's just see if this has the same animation or not. So Huntress Shot, it does not actually. It's actually way more beautiful and has a lot more SFX on it. That's really cool. Okay, so you can see I'm draining mana, and then I can go for the Moon Arrow, and I guess you'll intertwine a bit. It's not going to be quite a one-to-one, because you're going to do the most damage, I assume, with the Huntress Shot. Right now, it's 35. So I just got to level 11, and we get our very first passive of the Moonbow tree, and every single one of these spec-based talent trees start off with a passive. So it's called Moonbow Starcaller. I'm assuming they're going to give creative names to these eventually, but it says grants 25% of intellect as ranged attack power. So this is very, very, very weird already, right? Because this is making me feel like you want me to put wizard robes on now, but the other passive makes me feel like you want me to put normal hunter gear on. Now, there is the idea that they both literally feed off each other, right? To some degree. So, okay, we'll just click it because it might all make sense soon. And I do think it's cool, by the way. Like, it does make perfect sense for a Starcaller that focuses on mana to want intellect. It makes perfect freaking sense. And one thing I've heard the devs talk about, and I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it, but that's why I want to say it now because I want to hear what you guys think. They are willing to sacrifice flavor in practice for flavor in theory. And what I mean by that, and that could be a misrepresentation, but what I mean by that is if they think you can just transmog your character to look a certain way, it's not super important for you to actually have to be a certain way. So, you know, again, you might wear wizard robes, but it doesn't matter because you can transmog your guy to look like an archer. That's what their kind of logic is, right? Now, like I said, I don't know how I feel about it. Part of me, my first instinct was I didn't like it, but also I totally understand it. Like, it makes a lot of sense. Transmog is just like it's not like a lazy way out, but it's like a free way out of having to go that extra mile with some of this stuff, because you could say, okay, it makes more sense to put on wizard robes. Why should we go through all the trouble of making you balanced around not using wizard robes? Because you can mog. There was this concept I was talking about and thinking about where it's like, what if I could use a spear? And then it was like, well, you could always mog your weapon to look like a spear if you want flavor. So there's literally no reason to actually function it out and balance it around you actually using a real spear. And while again, my first instinct was, but then my second instinct was, I mean, that does make sense, to be fair, dude. That does make sense, to be fair. Okay, guys, so right now, if you look at my keybinds, this seems to be what they want me to do. So there are other options, of course, different passives, more healing you could take here and there, but I tried to take the things that I feel like you would want to take if you were just trying to be generally good and also try all the stuff. And so I took, for example, we're going to go over all of this real quick and do it on some mobs. Everything we already had before we have, but we got some really interesting utility. So one thing I can say is that it looks like the spec is focusing on 3 major PvP concepts: slows, stuns, and damage reduction. And the reason I say that is because you'll end up seeing I have multiple ways to reduce damage taken, multiple ways to slow, and multiple ways to stun. Now, one of the ways to reduce damage taken looks like it's like bugged for me on the development realm right now. I can't take it, but it's 20-second cooldown, 20% reduced damage taken for 8 seconds, Celestial Aegis. But the other one we'll use is Astral Armor right here. You can see it, and it's 40% reduced damage taken, and enemies that do non-periodic magic damage get silenced for 2 seconds and take arcane damage based on their own spell power. Very anti-caster. Now, I told you guys it's based around slows, right? So look at the slows I have. So I have this ability, Stellar Drift. Let's look at this on this wolf. So he's going slow for a short duration. So it's a 40% reduction in movement speed for only 3 seconds. But if the target is within 5 yards of you, they're knocked back. So let's see this. When it goes away, they're knocked back, right? So, wow, that's really far. So it's actually fundamentally different from this slow, Starlight, which is really, really weird. Let's see. Like, he's apparently slowed by 60%, but he's kind of not. I mean, I guess he must be because I'm going faster than he is, but it's a 40-yard range, and it looks like it just actually puts it on him. Like, there's an animation where it drops this, but they don't have to be in that. It looks like it just puts the slow on him. So that's like the more powerful one, but this is like the utility one where at the end of it, once again, they get knocked back. Let's see that. Holy crap, that's ridiculous. Now, speaking of knockbacks, I have Arcing Comet, right? You attempt to disengage from combat, leaping forward, and then increasing movement speed by 25%. So look at this. So you have a way to leap forward, not backwards on this hunter. We can hunter shot these guys down and go, okay, that guy's dead. We're level 50 right now, so we do a lot more damage. That guy's dead too. Now, remember we have that Scattered Stars effect. I have 2 abilities that consume it. Lunar Shock, which is basically a dot, and it gets better based on the amount of shards consumed. And then we also have Starfire Shot, which is literally just big damage. And so it's the literal same spell. It's all based on Scattered Stars, but one of them's a dot and one of them is not. So let's just see what this looks like without the Scattered Star effect real quick. It is a cast. Whoa, that's badass. Yo, that's actually gorgeous too. Like, the animation for that was gorgeous. Now, there's some other cool stuff you get. So there's this one talent. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Oh, it's right here. Huntress Strafe. So we remember Shooting Star, right? That's the sprinty effect. But now, when I use it with this talent, I ride a War Saber and launch glaives at the nearest enemy every half second for physical damage. So look at this. So I get on this, and I'm just throwing glaives. That's like ridiculous. Like, actually the damage looked really strong there. Cool animation, I'll say that. Then we have Moonwell Splash. It's like your healing touch, presumably. Much longer cast time, much bigger heal. And apparently the healing side of things will have something called Focus on it. And so we'll have ways to proc Focus. For this one, the spell becomes instant and heals for 8% max health on top of what it already does. This is what it looks like. It's like a Riptide effect. So that's pretty cool. Like a castable Riptide animation. Now, I told you guys about the stuns. And so let's test some of that out. So I have Constellation, 2-minute cooldown though, which is very fair. It stuns every enemy within 8 yards of the guy that you target for 3 seconds, including the guy that you target as well. It also consumes your Scattered Stars to do more damage and regenerate mana. So it literally would just put a star on all of them and stun them. Now I have another one, Star Shatter, instant cast, also a 2-minute cooldown. This is good for balance. They're both on long cooldowns. 4-second stun that also does arcane damage over the duration. Let's check this out. Okay, that's actually badass. That's actually really, really nice. So I do love this a lot so far. I think this seems really fun and polished. Now, I did save a couple cooldowns for last, and they're really cool. So I told you about Astral Arrowhead, though. Let's try that. So I auto attack, and it should blow up, and it is. You see it's doing extra damage and applying Scattered Stars. So that's cool. I also have what I would like to just refer to as the Mega Rapid Fire effect for this class. It increases range attack speed by 150% and reduces the cost of Moon Arrow by 50%. And when you do range damage, you regenerate 1% max mana. So we could try that. That's the animation. And you can see how fast I'm going. You have to understand, increasing ranged attack speed when you have a lot of steady shots is really good. You know what I mean? It's really, really good. It's not just your autos. And also autos anyway are giving Scattered Stars. And so that's cool. Now, I'm not really too concerned about min-maxing the rotation or anything like that. We're just getting an idea of what this actually looks like. But I think it looks really, really good. Now, the last spell I want to show you is Cosmic Shift. This is just unique as hell. So this says you shift the target ally out of the physical plane. You grant that ally stealth water walking, and 60% movement speed for 10 seconds. Now, can it be used on yourself? Yes, it can. Now, here's really something to keep in mind. This is Vanish. Okay, this is not an improved stealth mode though, so it's not like you're not gonna, if you're dotted, you're immediately out. That's the implication. So it's not as good as Vanish, but it is a pseudo Vanish. It's actually pretty interesting. If there's no dots on you and you get some distance, you can Cosmic Shift, and for 10 seconds you're in stealth. So this is a stealth class, but not really, but it has a stealth component to it, and I did not expect that. Anyway, I think this looks really good. I don't actually have anything to say about this, to be honest with you. It just seems like it's gonna work. Now, there's a couple more spells, actually. I just realized I didn't show you. There is a lot, but it's actually not bloated, believe it or not. I really actually thought it would be. Rain of Comets and Starcall. Now, these really do make the theme come truly alive. I kind of wish I started with them in hindsight. Rain of Comets calls down a rain of comets upon the target area, doing arcane damage, slowing people, another way to slow, 35% reduced movement speed, scaling with intellect and spell power. So if I just pull a bunch of dudes real quick, we can make this happen and just see what the animation looks like. Okay, it's almost like a blizzard, by the way. So I don't know. It's almost like a blizzard. I don't know. I almost feel like they should use the volley animation. Maybe I'm wrong there. Do you guys feel like that looks like ice shards? Like, I can see how they might have edited it to put like extra arcane magic at the end, but that literally just felt like some kind of blizzard. So that's my only thing so far that I've actually had that was negative. But in terms of theme and flavor and the fact that it's on a 15-second cooldown, so that's your AoE in parts, that's really cool. Now, we also have Starcall, which is an instant 30-second attack that does arcane damage to them, applies Lunar Mark to them, and Lunar Mark slows them. And I think there are some ways to actually make Lunar Mark have extra effectiveness, right? So let's see. Yeah, so like right here, causes the Moon Arrow you have to consume the Lunar Mark, doing extra damage and healing everybody. And Moon Arrow is just like your normal baseline energy costing one. So we can actually test that out as well. But this is going to be the Starcall. So that's not bad, although I maybe want to try that one more time with more people. But let's see if we can proc the Moon Arrow and just see what that looks like. So I did see it blow up for damage, so that's pretty cool. So that's going to be your little baby combo as well, right? Like, you can go for the Rain of Comets, the Starcall, maybe the Starcall goes first, and then you Moon Arrow. That does extra damage, and then you proceed to do your regular rotation, which is still cleaving the entire time. Okay, let's try this again, but with multiple targets, and we'll move on to our old character on the Koa realms. Keep leveling them, and we'll try a new spec. Okay, 3 targets, Starcall. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. I don't know. I feel like the animations for Starcall and Rain of Comets, almost like, I wonder why Starfall wasn't used, but maybe they're afraid that they've already used that animation too much. But I guess this could work. I guess this is still fine. Now, in terms of playstyle, theme, flavor, this is nailed. I only had a couple comments on the aesthetic of Starcall and Rain of Comets, really. I love this, though, after checking out the max level version. Let me know what you guys think, but let's switch back. All right, guys, we're back on this guy. Let's go ahead and start trying to tank, like, right off the bat. But they actually give you aspect of the Star-Lord, which has a 20% chance to deliver an additional attack for 150% weapon damage and regenerate 5% max energy. Now I'm actually understanding this. Aspect of the Star-Lord is if you want to play Astral Warfare as a 2H damage-dealing melee guy. And I think I am right that Aspect of the Star is for the tank. So I'm going to go with that as the premise for now. I'll be honest, like, I think it's just a little interesting, Like, I feel like you could probably start with something else, but I guess you can. So I'm going to just, go out on a limb and say the things that I like to say. I always get sad when a spec has multiple ways to play, but then because of that, they don't think about it, and then you're forced to take talents that don't support the playstyle that you choose. So right off the bat, if I'm right, an aspect of the Star-Lord is for the DPS spec, but I want to tank, the first couple talents I see are literally dead. They're dead talents, because they only have to do with increasing the damage of Star-Lord and giving you Star-Lord. Then the next talent over here is also dead, right? You just, causes Star-Lord to do something. And then the other one that you can get increases all arcane damage you deal by 5%, which could be okay for threat, but threat's kind of a non-issue at the same time. So you're all like, you know what I mean? Now, maybe they want me to take Lunar Shock. I don't know. We could try that. If I do go for that, I can go for increased intellect over here, and then I don't have to take the Nightblade. So it could be with this really weird connection right here, because it's kind of like random diagonal. Maybe they're just trying to get me to say, okay, screw this. I know this is not what you want. You already didn't like Star-Lord. Let's go over here instead. Maybe. I don't know. So far, none of this is really tank-based anyway that I'm looking at, but it's at least more useful. So we'll start messing around with this stuff. Now, over here, it says Celestial Strike now regenerates mana, 4% specifically, and it reduces its cost by 5%. So Celestial Strike did not have the mana regen capability apparently yet, but now it does. Okay. So really quickly for this one, guys, we have Warden of the Moon, which is the tank stance, basically reducing damage taken, increasing my threat, spec, giving me more block value and making me do less damage and teaching me a taunt. Now, I want to run right into a Ragefire Chasm run with you guys, and I'll actually end up showing things probably like Starburst eventually, and we'll go over some more of the AoE, but we start off with really almost nothing, and I know they're already working on this tree. It is a little bit different on the dev realm, so what we're going to end up doing after the Ragefire Chasm is taking a look at it much later on, and then we'll jump over to the DPS Astral Warfare spec, and then to the healer. Okay, I do pray to God these guys let me tank, because considering the fact that I don't have a direct ability to pull with AoE, it could be a little frustrating. We shall see. I'll taunt this guy. I'm just going to keep attacking and hoping I get some procs. I want to build up my mana, but I also run out of energy, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, that guy just changed targets. Nice. You can see the stars coming from the sky. I am a Star-Lord, my friend. Not that Star-Lord, but I'm a different Star-Lord. And we're actually doing pretty good, surprisingly. Like, I actually am holding aggro. I can taunt this guy over to me. Now, like I said, I do have the Lunar Shock, so we could try to use that if we can. And that only costs a little bit of mana, and the Moonblade as well seems to be a pretty easy thing. Like, you want to consume Scattered Stars, but at the moment, I'm more concerned with just getting auto attacks off to pull stuff with my stars. So the star proc chance is really, really satisfying so far. So I'll just Lunar Shock that as I run away. We'll pull that and keep going. This already, because these guys are being so nice to me, and I love people that let the tank, dude. It's so intensely satisfying. Oh, as that guy runs away and pulls something. Never mind. Never mind. He disappointed all of us, and I died. Don't you love that? Dude, I was just about to praise this entire team. Dude, I cannot believe God would play with me that way, bro. I was just about to praise this whole team. And then as I die to a small pool, the DPS is running ahead of me and pulling more. Yo, I was so ready to be happy, dude. Oh, we'll pull more guys here, right? So we're going for the Celestial Strikes. Let's go ahead and just... I have no damage cooldowns right now, but I'm sure we'll get some soon as well. So I am just relying on the big old Warden of the Moon to help me out here. All right, that guy is on me over there, but he is pretty far away. He's just lightning bolting me. All right, we can Lunar Shock this guy and keep on going. I gotta say, I feel like I'm not going to be able to disappoint you guys now that I can show stuff on the development realms. That makes me so excited and happy to be able to, like, immediately test out how things are supposed to be, despite being time-gated by slightly slower leveling speeds, which I support for the full release, but, like, on an alpha, even with all the stuff I have access to, when you account for, like, having to edit the video and push it out and stuff like that, it actually can be pretty time-consuming to level it up to 50 and try it all. So, like, the development realm stuff to show you guys everything is so good for you and me. It's, like, unbelievably good. Okay, this is actually going to be, like, one of the bigger pulls I do the entire time. It's kind of, like, required. This is actually a new pull for, like, oh, crap, for, like, the Ascension Ragefire Chasm. Like, all the Molten Elementals being the way they are. Wait, I need to get this guy. Oh, I got him on me with a star. Dude, I really, really like Aspect of the Stars so far. Because if the proc chance was any lower, this would be so bad. But it's like such a reasonable proc chance. I get it constantly, and it's pulling aggro. Look at that. That is sick. We can Star Shock that guy, or what's it called? Lunar Shock? I wonder if it should be called Star Shock. I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter, dude. But I never remember the name so far. It's semantics. It's pretty irrelevant, but this is fun. Super, super fun. I'm just kind of spamming stuff inconsequentially right now for the sake of procking, like I said, the Aspect of the Stars. All right, we are in it to win it. We are in it to win it, guys. We have this guy as well. Star Shock him, apply the dot. The threat's going to be good enough there. Let's not get knocked off into the lava. He's blast waving. I'm not running away. There's a Trog over there. I just taunted him on me. All right, so far so good. The stars are procking. Nice. We have a big old Moonblade that came out. And there we go. Dead. Wow, look at that, too. Now I can get Nebula. Being hit by an attack or blocking or dodging or parrying has a 10% chance to apply a scattered star to the attacker. Now, I could also actually go for Celestial Cleave, which, for the sake of not being able to take Star Sweep right now, I'm definitely going to do. I can strike 5 nearby enemies on a 3-second cooldown for 80% weapon damage and regen 6% max mana for every enemy struck. That's basically a fix every problem I've had so far type of thing, so let's try that first. So, okay, I have had some people complaining about the videos being too long, so let me make this very short and sweet. I actually started off my journey tanking and feeling super duper like an OG vanilla warrior in regard to the fact that it was all single target, a lot of tab targeting, a little bit better, obviously. I'd say a lot better, in fact, because of that Starfall aspect. I really, really like that. Super thematic, flavorful, really, really nice. Later on, I get some abilities. I'll put them up on the screen right now. Celestial Cleave. I end up getting Star Sweep later on. I end up getting another really cool ability known as Starburst. These are 3 AoE abilities that were really, really good. And another one you might see, it looks like Blizzard, you already know, is that little Comet Storm thing, and that's been fine as well. And so using those 4 abilities made holding aggro a lot easier, and once I got those, I was able to really steamroll. But you might see in some of these earlier clips I'm showing you that it was a lot harder before I got that, and kind of a headache as well. There was actually an ironic moment where I encountered a Blood Mage healer from my, remember the Son of Aragorn video where I complained about it, and they were so unhappy and had so little fun, and they were not able to keep anybody alive, that they actually, after somebody left, because they were having no fun dying all the time, they queued as DPS so that another guy would get in there as a healer. It was a Sun Cleric, lower level, and we easily beat the dungeon after that. I'm including that as a tidbit just to really hone in on the idea that I still really believe the Blood Healer is probably a mistake, but I know some of you guys, you were really vigilant in the comment section. You want it to stay, so I bet it can be saved, but I'm just saying it's not working right now, still. Anyway, back to the concept of what we're playing. It's really just a lot of AoE, and it works really well, but what I want to go ahead and do now is I want to go ahead, as you can see, I want to make the 2H spec work. Now, the reason I think it's easy to make this transition without you missing much is they use a lot of the same abilities actually in the tank spec, because of course they share a spec, and so I'm actually going to be able to pick a lot of stuff that you'll have noticed, including some stuff you saw on the Ranger, right? Like the Astral Armor and the Star Shatter Stun. Now, this is a really cool ability, Reverse Magic. You can reflect a spell like Spell Reflection, and by the way, it is letting me choose the Celestial Aegis now, so that's actually a cool little option, so we can actually show you that. That's pretty cool. It's very subtle. And one thing I think I noticed, some of the spells have too many visual effects on them. And I'm actually referring only to the ones that actually stay with you for a hot second. We talked about that on the Reaper, for example, and I saw some others that I'll point out probably in the coming weeks. Now, the tanky stuff was more on the right side of the tree, so I'm assuming the DPS-y stuff is more on the left. And I've actually already checked this out. I'm going to start just filling in some talents and showing you guys some key stuff that I noticed, and we'll just start taking it into some combats and giving it a solid try. So there are some AoE options. I told you about the Starburst, the Celestial Cleave, the Star Sweep. These are real options. By the way, I didn't even point this out, but Guided Reflexes, massive parry chance, defensive spell, and they also end up getting Blanket of Stars when you play the tank as well, which is just parry and block and reduce damage taken. So there's a lot of good defensives for the tank. But for the DPS, the thing that I see that's really coming out to me, right, is Astral Blade. This is what I think people were one-shotting with back in the day. This does 30% of your max mana is what it drains, right? And then it does arcane damage based on the mana consumed. And if you're stacking intellect, that's gonna slap. So again, I could take all the AoE components, but let's take a bunch of single target components. Another thing I end up getting is Moonhammer, 80% hamstring, a little bit better than hamstring, but it's lower duration and does a little bit of arcane damage as well. 10-yard range, which is actually sleeper. Now, one thing I want to point out real quick is I think Aspect of the Starlord and the next 2 talents that go with it, Nightblade and Starlord's Fury, all of which just, add extra synergy to the Aspect of the Starlord, I think it's in the wrong spot. So I thought about this, and I'll put the visuals up on the screen right now. What I would actually do is I would move Celestial Aegis to where Aspect of the Starlord is. The reason I would do that is because even though it's a defensive cooldown, it's clearly not a massive one. It's a light cooldown. So it's something that the DPS spec wants anyway, I would think, especially for PvP, just to have it. One thing you'll end up noticing as we play this is that I think this is a glass cannon spec. So when you can pick something like this, you probably do want to. With that being said, it doesn't actually not make sense to have Celestial Aegis first, but it does not make sense to have a pure DPS aspect that you would theoretically not want to use with the tank spec. Now, I understand that you could say, what if you're on a raid, single target boss type of thing, and you want to switch your aspect over? And then I would say, often it doesn't feel good to switch your auras and stances around. Often your stance is foundational and you want to be in it, and that's what makes you who you are, and you don't want to have to switch. The only real exception, there were some times the DK might switch in some iterations, but the real exception was OG Trilogy Warrior, and that's going to be like, stance dancing between like your Berserker and your defensive and your battle. But it's really important to keep in mind that there were literal mechanics built around that where certain abilities couldn't be used unless you were in a stance. It wasn't just, well, on single target, I'll switch to this one, and on AoE, I switch to that. It was much more nuanced than that, and that's what made it worth it. So even if you wanted to give the argument that you'll still switch to this one for like single target, I would actually argue that that's kind of dumb, and at least as an argument for why you would want it at level 10. And so what I would do is I would move Celestial Aegis right here. Then I would move Improved Celestial Aegis right here. And then I would take Galactic Vigor, which is, by the way, so far off to the side that you cannot take 5% stamina without taking a bunch of stuff you really wouldn't want anyway. And then I would put that like here in the middle. And you can see that with the graphic once again on the screen. And then by lieu of that, I would take Aspect of the Star-Lord and Nightblade and Star-Lord's Fury, put it on the right side of the tree, and you'll start off as a DPS if you choose to do that early on, just, you know, fooling around with your other 3 aspects that you already have, which is probably healthier anyway, because it lets you look at everything. So that's what I would do personally, and that's the only thing I've seen that was like an actual mechanical change. Everything else has been like an aesthetic or a sound or an art-based thing or something like that. So anyway, let's actually start playing this and see how it goes, utilizing, of course, Aspect of the Star-Lord, which if you look on the bottom right once again, gives damaging spells and attacks a 20% chance to do an additional attack for 162% weapon damage and generate 5% max energy. Also, Star Sunder damage goes up by 20%. Star Sunder is like my main spammable big damage before I have to start regenning with like Celestial Strike. But yeah, like if you really look at the stuff I have right now, I actually don't have that many abilities when I go full single target with no cleave for PvE. There are some heal options you could potentially take, I guess, but it does kind of take you out of the way. And so I think I stand by my first comment that this is probably like a one-trick pony, hardcore single target glass cannon PvP spec if it's going to be used for PvP. And let me show you the damage of the Astral Blade just so you know why. Look at this. 1,000, dude. I have 1,900 HP, level 46, and I just hit a 1k no crit, and I could do that again in 30 seconds, you know. And so what I think I have to do is Star Shatter somebody for the stun, and it's going to be like a Ret Pally, dude. Literally, you're going to want to save up the Hammer of Justice, stun them, and go hard, and once that's gone, at least the Ret Pally could bubble and stuff, but you're kind of a sitting duck. This one doesn't have that. This one has 40% damage reduction, a Spell Reflect, a Baby Stealth, because we have that Archer Stealth, and the Celestial Aegis. So min-maxing this is going to be very interesting, and it's not like my thing. You didn't see me play a lot of Mana Fiend, for example, on Ascension, but I do feel like I just want to take a dumpy on someone and dump all my mana, and so like the way I want to play is like spamming Star Sunder and going for the Astral Blade on top of a Star Shatter, building up those really fun scatter stars, and then utilizing a massive Lunar Shock or a Moon Blade on them. Again, just trying to one-shot people and just pop all my defensive so they can't kill me back and reflect all their crap. So I'm just gonna do some quick combat gameplay on the dummy with this just to show you what's going down. So I guess it would be something like you're spamming the Star Sunders, right? And then you're going to be able to go for the Astral Blade on cooldown as well. 1773 crit, which is fun. But then you run out of mana, right? But I have all these stacks of Scattered Stars. So I can go for a Lunar Shock. I get some mana off that, right? And then maybe, I don't know, do you intertwine the Star Sunder and the Celestial Strike? And you pray to God for some procs of the Scattered Stars? And then you go for the Astral Blade whenever you can. So let's make that happen. So maybe I Moonblade, I Astral Blade, we could show that off. I mean, it's pretty strong. It seems pretty good. But I can really just see this being like a setup spec to like one-shot somebody in PvP. Like, that's what I kind of envision. Another thing you'll notice, it gets kind of frustrating, right? Because like, how do I get my mana up? I have no idea how to get my mana up. Like, I know how to get my mana up, but like Celestial Strike's not really making it go up that much. So, like, do you actually have to just sit here and spam this? I guess so. You know, it's kind of weird because I know that this is too big of a foundational change. I must be misunderstanding something. But I almost wish that Scattered Stars procced off the Celestial Strike, because that way when you're, like, getting your stuff back, you can set yourself up for, like, a Moonblade. And then that gives you even more mana back, and then you're back in for the Star Sunders and stuff like that. But I bet I must be missing something, and it's, like, even more foundational. I don't get it, but, like, that's my first idea. It's probably that I'm just playing too fast with it, though, and you're not just supposed to dumpy up, but I kind of like the dumpy, you know? I think you guys would agree. Although it does look very visually appealing, like, it definitely looks the part. We can go for the Lunar Shock right there. Do a little Astral Blade thing. You can see I'm like getting the you don't have enough mana sound like crazy. That's going to be annoying. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a cool spec. I like the Archer a lot more, but this is not very bloated for PvP at least. And so I think this is pretty cool. Okay, very quickly, like I said, let's go ahead and try out the Healer TIDES spec now. And let's see how that works out. Okay, so instead of going through all the talents, let's just like make sure we just go over the abilities. So I picked all these different abilities right, and here's what I've got. So I've got Torrent, a channeling water spell that increases all healing I receive, and I've also got Overflow, and I have a ability on a 16-second cooldown to heal people and restore mana. So this seems to be a single target effect, though. We also have Moonbow Splash. It's a big castable heal. This can be made instant with some stuff. And then we also have Deluge, a small baby lesser heal effect. I've also got Dows, so this after 6 seconds will heal the target. And then we've also got, we'll see that in a moment, that's going to be 695. We've got Hand of Elune, so based on your mana, it heals for a lot. So it's a big mana costing spell, so it actually gives you a big amount of heals when it goes off. Then we have Aegis of Neptulon. Place a bubble on somebody, and it seems to be like a 20-second power word shield with a really cool effect. They have a cleanse effect with Wash, removing a disease, and a magic effect. They have a rebirth effect, so that's cool. The only healer or class even I've seen so far that has a rebirth effect. We have a really cool ability that's just like the blood one that we saw for the blood mage, but opposite. So this one heals everybody, reduces your damage taken, and increases your movement speed, and consumes the stacks that Torrent give, the ones that actually increase your healing, if you remember correctly, to make it heal for more based on every stack. So this is Slipstream. So it seems to be the combo for AoE heals is keeping up the Torrent and then going for a Slipstream. Now, there are two mechanics to keep in mind so far that I've noticed with this class. We have Tidal Focus, which I've made a weak aura for. Tidal Focus is something that, as you can see right here on the bottom left, passively you gain 1 stack every 3 seconds. At 4 stacks, you can activate this. When you activate it, your next spell with a focus effect, you might have seen that in some of the tooltips, will go off. Moonbow Splashes makes it instant, and it heals you for 8% of your max health rather than just the flat effect. And we're going to do a dungeon in a moment. And then we also have, there's another one somewhere right here, Overflow now has no cooldown and restores max mana. So there's a lot going on right now, and there's one more thing to think about, which is low tide and high tide. You can see it right here. They cycle between each other. Low tide reduces the cost of spells. High tide gives you like more haste or something like that. The only spell I've noticed so far, and I just like randomly got put out of there, like I started facing the entrance and like ran out. But anyway, the only spell I've seen that actually affects that is Aegis of Neptulon. If I'm in high tide, it's an instant bubble. If I'm in low tide, it has a reduced cooldown. And yeah, we're just gonna see if we can make this happen. So far, nobody's really taking that much damage, but I can just keep up the Torrent. I feel like you're gonna be doing a lot of Torrent healing because it's just gonna be so much easier to just focus on the Slipstream Torrent combo. I do feel like you have a bunch of heals that do the same thing for no reason, like Deluge and Dows and Hand of Elune and Overflow and Moonbow Splash. Like they're all like the same. Like they have different coefficients. They're doing slightly different amount of heals and stuff, but it's like, what's the point? I'm not a healer main. Maybe the healer mains want a bunch of, you know, mini and random heals that do kind of like arbitrary things that you'll probably never click, but you just want them. I don't know. If it was me, I would consolidate, but you know what? We have the Torrent. Nobody's really taking that much damage. I want to Slipstream for fun. That's actually pretty big healing on all these guys. Look at that. That's actually the best part of the whole class. But like, that's what I would focus on, like how much fun I get from that. So on this little dude over here, I can Deluge him. Like, the Deluge is so garbage. There must be something that makes that better. This is so dog, dude. It's absolutely the worst thing I've ever seen. So I do actually have the stacks of my Tidal Focus, so I can actually show you an instant cast Moonbow Splash. There it is. It heals everybody, apparently, so that's pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and put up this Aegis. So you can see this guy has a bubble. Now, I have this other ability called Bubble Buddy, and this actually summons a Bubble Buddy. He helps me, bro. Actually, when I torrent, he torrents, and that's the basic idea. So I actually want to see if I can make that happen. Okay, so I summon a Bubble Buddy. He's a little fish in a bubble, which of course is wrong, by the way, because it needs to be a baby Murloc, and I know they know, and I know they messed that up, you know. But look at him. He's doing his torrent. He's just being himself. And if you have a problem with him, I don't like you. You can get out of the channel. You know, but he should be a baby Murloc. It's very obvious, you know, but, you know, let's watch him do his thing. Oh, he's gone. Bye-bye, little Bubble Buddy. But he was doing his thing, and he was happy about it, and I don't really appreciate anybody to judge him, you know? It really is, like, it's not an opinion. You know, some things I say are opinions. I make that very clear. Bubble Buddy being a baby Murloc in a bubble is not an opinion. It's a fact. It's the only real, logical, honest conclusion. Everything else is wrong. I'm not being funny, by the way. Some people might think, oh, it's a baby Murloc. That's funny. It's not funny. That's what a Bubble Buddy would be. Everything else is wrong. So we can just torrent, by the way, because, like, this dude is so crazy, the Sun Cleric tank. I just want to show off what more of these spells just even do, to be honest. Let's go ahead and plop a, let's see, Hand of Elune to get him up real quick. There we go. Massive, massive. I didn't need to, obviously, but it's still massive. And right before this boss encounter, I'm going to go ahead and Aegis him. It looks like it lasts long enough. Maybe it won't be good. It should be. I love the animation of it, though. Yeah, I just feel like some of these spells are very similar, you know? So, like, that's the only thing I'm thinking. But, like, animation and flavor-wise, it's really, really good shit, you know? So, like, I can go ahead and douse this guy. I can AFK for a second because he's about to get healed after 6 seconds. AFK, 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 AFK. Oh, but full HP. I'll take that. Bubble him after that. So that's going to be a baby combo right there. Top him off and then go for the bubble. We're going to start torrenting. We're going to start placing the bubble buddy and going for the torrent. Let him be himself, man. Let him be himself. Where is he? I want him to be himself, but I want to know where he went. I actually don't know where my bubble buddy went. I think that he got sick of me. Oh, there he is, bro. He's doing him, man. And I appreciate every aspect of it. Okay, now we're liquefying. We're liquefying with those stacks of torrent. And now we're going for the torrent again. And we don't really need to, but we're going to go for the Moonbow splash. And everybody's healed. We're going to put the bubble on this guy. We're going to douse him real quick, right? And he doesn't need it, but we're going to Hand of Elune. And then, oh, we have the tidal focus. Boom. Let's go for the tide call. And now let's go for the one we haven't used yet, which is the overflow, which now has no cooldown. Then we go for another instant overflow. That's a good way to get your mana back, it seems. So this actually makes some sense. The only spell I don't like is Deluge. I actually think if Deluge didn't exist, everything else would be fine. But you know what? Maybe it's just there for theme, and maybe it's something you use at a lower level. I see you get it really early on. Maybe it's their version of Lesser Heal, which I believe even vanilla priests literally take off their bar sometimes. Okay, that was pretty fun, and that's giving you an idea of the water healer. Okay, pretty freaking sick. Okay, so I went ahead and picked a winner for the giveaway. Paul Bolson's in-game name, Phoenix. Keep up the good work. I appreciate that, my friend. There you go, bro. Grats. I hope you enjoy Koa and GG. Once again, leave your in-game name in the comment section below. The in-game name has to be on the League 4 Archimon server, and you have a chance of winning one of my last few Koa travel guides to get into the alpha in my next Koa video. All right, guys, so you voted on this guy, right? You wanted to see the Starcaller, so we tried to look at it. I tried to do some max level stuff with the Archer on the dev client at the beginning of the video, so we could actually keep leveling this guy, but when I quit playing a spec, I could just show you right away. Then as we got higher level, I was able to just show you guys the high level stuff. So what do I actually think of this class? I had a few things here and there, but really very minor critiques the entire time. I thought it was very fun. I think it's very thematic. I think they're doing a great job. I think this one is basically exactly where it needs to be, and I like it, especially the TIDES spec, which I'm kind of sad I saved for last, but the video is sadly long enough. I said I don't want to make the video too long. It's probably over 50 minutes, Jesus Christ. But if it was just one spec, I can make the video 30 or 25 minutes long. But also because I'm just like constantly explaining so much crap, and we're not even getting into the nitty gritty of the passives, dude. There's just too much, to be honest with you. It's too much for the video format that I typically do. But it's fun. I do enjoy it, and I did enjoy playing the class. I will quickly, before I fully end the video, for the people that watched past the giveaway, I know I didn't do the auto attacks with Aspect of the Sea Witch, and that's just simply because it's not intuitive to have to DPS as a healer, and that's just my fault. So I just want to show you guys the animations for Surge, an ability we didn't try. Create a wave and ride it forward, and let's see. Oh, so that's pretty cool. And that's a 2-minute cooldown, or 1.5 minute. And then Water Bolt, what does that look like? The one from Classless, I bet. Yeah, okay, it's like what the Water Elemental does. And if we auto attack, let's see some heals. It's a 25% chance to heal. What if I spam the Moon Arrow? There we go, 104s. So you could be doing this the whole time too. It didn't feel like I needed it, to be honest with you, but that's definitely an option. So okay, that's pretty cool. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. Major thanks to all the members on my channel. I do love and appreciate you guys, but I'll see all of y'all in the next one. Mcdoubles out.